Okay, so you know those cool homes built from shipping containers you see all over social media?
Yeah, the ones that look sleek and modern or like
Yeah.
rustic little cabins.
Exactly.
Yeah, they definitely have that cool factor going for them.
Well, a listener sent us this huge digital book package about building your own shipping container home.
Oh, wow.
It's called Build Your Own Shipping Container Home Professional Set. And it's got me thinking maybe we should do a deep dive into this whole container home thing.
I'm in. It's a really fascinating trend, and it seems like a lot of people are interested in it.
So this package claims it has like years of experience and expertise packed into it.
Okay.
There are 4 books,
Wow.
over 1,100 pages, over 180 topics, and like 60 different plans and projects.
That's a lot of information.
It is. But it promises to like walk you through every single step of building a container home from start to finish.
That's ambitious. It makes you wonder if it really can cover everything.
Right. It's not like you just stack a few containers and call it a day.
Exactly. You have to think about insulation, plumbing, electrical wiring permits.
Oh, yeah. All the stuff that's easy to overlook when you're just caught up in the excitement of the idea.
Exactly.
Well, this guide claims to get into all of that.
Okay, well, let's see what they have to say.
Okay, so the first book is called Build Your Own Shipping Container Home, Step-by-Step Comprehensive Guide.
Sounds promising.
It's like the core manual of the package. It says it takes you from laying the foundation to putting on the finishing touches with step-by-step instructions and illustrations.
I mean, that makes sense, right? You need a clear roadmap,
Yeah.
especially if you're new to construction.
Definitely.
It's one thing to dream up a cool design, but actually turning that into a real home that's safe and livable, that takes a lot of know-how.
Totally. And then there's book 2, which is Superb Container Home Plans and Projects.
Ooh, plans and projects. That's what I like to see.
This one's all about visual inspiration.
Okay.
It has 60 different container home plans and projects, complete with photos, floor plans, and even 3D models.
Oh, wow. So you can really get a feel for what's possible.
I was flipping through it earlier, and I was like blown away by how different all the designs were.
Really?
There are tiny homes, multi-level structures, modern designs, rustic cabins.
I'm always impressed by the range of styles you see with container homes.
Me too.
Some people really embrace that industrial look while others blend the containers in so well you almost can't tell what they are.
Right. It shows how versatile they can be.
You can really adapt them to different tastes and lifestyles and locations.
Exactly. And then for even more visual inspiration, there's book 3, Superb Examples of Container Architecture.
More examples.
Yep, this one showcases 60 more container homes from all over the world.
Wow.
You see homes in different climates, terrains, cultural influences.
So they're not just showing you theoretical designs, but actual real-world examples.
It's like you're peeking into the minds of these container home pioneers who've actually done it.
And seeing how they've tackled the challenges and made it work.
Exactly.
That's super valuable.
But then to bring us back down to earth a little, there's book 4, My First Container Home.
Oh, okay. This sounds interesting.
This one is a personal account of someone's experience building their own container home.
A first-hand account. I like it.
And it doesn't shy away from the learning curve and all the unexpected obstacles they faced along the way.
That's the kind of stuff you don't always get from those glossy design books.
Right.
You need to know what you're really getting into.
It's a good reminder that even with a detailed guide, things are going to go wrong, and you got to be ready to problem solve.
Absolutely. No matter how prepared you are, you're going to learn a lot along the way.
So those are the 4 books in the package. But it's not all just pretty pictures and inspiring stories.
Oh.
This guide gets into some serious technical details about the shipping containers themselves,
Like what?
like the different types, dimensions, structural properties,
Okay.
even potential repairs or modifications you might need to make.
Yeah, that makes sense. You really need to understand the raw materials you're working with. Shipping containers are designed for hauling cargo, not for people to live in.
Yeah, they're tough, but they weren't built to be cozy.
So you have to really consider their strengths and their limitations when you're repurposing them for a home.
You got to respect the nature of these steel boxes and work with them, not against them.
Totally.
It seems like that's a theme that runs throughout this whole guide.
What do you mean?
Like, they really emphasize a thoughtful approach to container home building.
Well, I see.
You know, they stress the importance of research and planning and understanding all the little nuances of this type of construction.
It's not a project to jump into lightly.
Definitely not. But it seems like this guide is trying to give you the knowledge and the confidence to make good decisions about your container home project.
That's great.
And for anyone who's really intrigued by this idea of building with shipping containers,
Yeah.
This guide could be a really great place to start.
It sounds like it.
It seems like it covers a lot of ground and doesn't shy away from the realities of this whole unconventional building approach.
If anyone wants to learn more about this book package we've been talking about,
Yeah.
you can find a link in the episode description.
Yeah, we've talked about some potential challenges, but we haven't really touched on the benefits of container homes yet.
True.
What makes them so appealing to people?
That's a great question, and one we should definitely dive into.
Yeah, let's take a closer look at what's inside this guide, and then we can talk about all those benefits.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about those benefits you mentioned. One of the biggest things people always talk about with container homes is affordability.
Right, like the containers themselves are relatively cheap,
Yeah.
especially compared to traditional building materials.
Exactly. And because they're prefabricated, you can potentially speed up the construction process, which can save you even more money.
Yeah, this guide actually says a container home can be built in as little as 1 month.
Wow, that's way faster than traditional construction.
I know, it sounds pretty tempting.
It does, but I'm sure it's not quite as simple as they make it sound.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's not like assembling some IKEA furniture.
Definitely not. There's still a lot of work involved.
And this guide definitely emphasizes the importance of careful planning and preparation.
Yeah, you don't want to go into this with unrealistic expectations.
For sure. And speaking of effort, the guide gets into some of the unique challenges that come with container home construction.
Oh, like what?
One that stood out to me was insulation.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Metal containers can get super hot in the summer and freezing in the winter.
So creating a comfortable living environment takes some serious planning.
You really have to pay attention to insulation.
And I bet thermal bridging is a big issue, too.
Thermal bridging.
Yeah, it's basically when heat easily flows through a material.
Oh, like metal.
Exactly. Metal is a great conductor of heat. So in a container home, those metal frames can act as thermal bridges, which means you lose a lot of heat in the winter and gain a lot of heat in the summer.
That doesn't sound very energy efficient.
It's not, and it can make the home uncomfortable to live in.
So it's not just about stuffing insulation into the walls.
No, you have to think about how to break those thermal bridges.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, this guide actually goes into quite a bit of detail about different insulation techniques for container homes.
Oh, cool.
They talk about using thermal breaks.
Thermal breaks.
Yeah, there are materials that resist the flow of heat.
Okay.
You can incorporate them into the framing or the connections between containers to basically interrupt those thermal bridges.
I see.
They also emphasize the importance of creating a continuous vapor barrier
Why is that?
to prevent moisture buildup.
Oh, right, because moisture can lead to mold and all sorts of other problems.
Exactly, you don't want that.
So it sounds like there's a real science to insulating a container home.
There is. It's not something you can just wing it on.
You really have to understand the building science behind it.
And this guide does a good job of explaining that and giving practical advice on how to apply those principles to container homes.
Awesome. What other challenges do they talk about?
Well, another big one is ventilation.
Yeah. Because containers are airtight, right?
Exactly. So you need to make sure there's enough fresh air circulating.
Otherwise, it could get pretty stuffy in there.
More than stuffy, it could actually be unhealthy.
Oh, really?
Poor ventilation can lead to a buildup of moisture pollutants, even harmful gases.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that serious.
It can definitely impact the health and well-being of the people living there.
So what do they recommend?
They recommend a combination of natural ventilation and mechanical ventilation.
Okay, so like opening windows and using vents?
Exactly. And then supplementing that with exhaust fans or other mechanical systems to make sure there's a constant flow of fresh air.
That makes sense.
They also talk about using materials that are low in VOCs,
VOCs.
volatile organic compounds.
Oh, right. Those are the chemicals that can off gas from certain materials and pollute the indoor air.
Exactly. So using low VOC materials is important for maintaining good indoor air quality.
Makes sense. So it seems like while container homes offer potential cost savings, they also come with some unique challenges that you really have to be prepared for.
You do. It's not necessarily easier or cheaper than traditional construction.
It's just a different set of considerations and trade-offs.
Right.
Now let's talk about some of the other benefits of container homes that go beyond affordability.
Okay, sure.
One that I always hear about is their durability.
Yeah, shipping containers are built to withstand some pretty tough conditions.
Like they're constantly being transported across oceans, stacked on top of each other, exposed to the elements.
Exactly. So they're inherently strong and weather resistant.
This guide actually highlights their resistance to earthquakes, tornadoes, fires, termites, even floods.
It's like they're the ultimate survival shelters.
I know, right? But I'm sure there are limits to that nature-proof claim.
Of course, you can't just drop a container in the middle of a hurricane and expect it to be fine.
Right, you still need to design and build it properly.
Exactly. A poorly built container home is just as vulnerable as any other structure.
And this guide emphasizes that point over and over again.
It's not enough to just rely on the inherent strength of the containers.
You have to work with them thoughtfully and make sure they're properly engineered and secured.
And that's where the value of a comprehensive guide like this really comes in.
It helps you understand the nuances of container construction and guides you through the steps to create a home that's not only durable, but also safe and comfortable.
And energy efficient. We can't forget about that.
Right. All the things we've been talking about.
So yeah, while containers might provide a strong foundation, they're not a magic bullet.
You still need to approach the construction process with care and expertise.
Absolutely. Now, what other benefits did you want to talk about?
Well, another one that often draws people to container homes is the sustainability aspect.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Reusing shipping containers is a great way to reduce waste and give these sturdy structures a second life.
It fits in really well with the whole movement towards more sustainable building practices.
And this guide highlights that aspect too.
They talk about the environmental benefits.
Yeah, they emphasize the importance of recycling and minimizing the impact of construction.
I like that.
They even touch on the use of eco-friendly materials and finishes to further enhance the sustainability of the home.
It's all about making conscious choices throughout the process
Right, from the materials you use to the way you design and build the home.
to create a home that minimizes its environmental footprint.
And let's be honest, there's also a certain cool factor to living in a shipping container home.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a unique and unconventional way to live.
It makes a statement,
It shows that you're not afraid to be different, to think outside the box.
literally.
Yeah.
And this guide showcases some really amazing examples of container homes that are anything but boring.
Oh, yeah. I was flipping through the pictures earlier, and I was so impressed by the creativity.
Me too. Some of them are so beautifully designed, you would never guess they were made from shipping containers.
They blend in seamlessly with their surroundings.
You see everything from rustic retreats in the woods to modern masterpieces in the city.
It's really inspiring to see what people are doing with this type of construction.
It shows the versatility of container homes and how they can be adapted to all sorts of different tastes and lifestyles.
So yeah, there's a lot to consider when it comes to building a shipping container home.
Definitely. There are challenges, but also some really appealing advantages.
It's about weighing those pros and cons and deciding if this type of construction is right for you.
And if you are intrigued by the idea, this guide seems like a great resource to help you get started.
It gives you a really good overview of the process and helps you understand what's involved.
And it also sparks the imagination.
Yeah, it shows you what's possible and encourages you to think creatively about your own container home dreams.
So if you're ready to explore the world of shipping container homes, be sure to check out the link in the episode description to learn more about this book package.
It could be the first step on your journey to creating a truly unique and sustainable home.
Now, one of the things that really fascinated me in this guide was the section on design considerations that are specific to container homes.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, let's dive into that a little further.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're designing a container home, one of the biggest things you have to think about is that you're basically working within a metal box,
Yeah, that definitely presents some unique challenges.
but also some interesting opportunities.
For sure.
So one of the challenges that this guide highlights is maximizing natural light.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're dealing with these long rectangular spaces,
Yeah.
and you don't want the interior to feel dark and cramped.
Right, you need to be strategic about where you place your windows and doors.
Exactly, and the guide shows some really clever ways that designers are using windows and skylights, not just for light, but also to create a sense of spaciousness.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, they talk about using large windows to frame views and bring the outdoors in.
I like that.
They even talk about using sliding glass doors to create entire walls that open up.
Oh, wow. So you can really blur the lines between indoor and outdoor living spaces.
Exactly, and that can be especially appealing if you're building in a scenic location.
Definitely. You're essentially bringing the landscape right into your home.
And because containers are so strong, you can have those really large openings without compromising the structural integrity.
That's a good point.
Another thing we talked about earlier was thermal bridging.
Right, the metal frames acting as pathways for heat loss or gain.
Exactly, and that's not just an insulation issue. It also has design implications.
Oh, right, because you want to minimize those points where the interior and exterior metal surfaces meet.
Exactly, because those are the points where heat can easily flow in or out of the home.
So how do you address that from a design standpoint?
Well, one approach is to use thermal breaks,
Mm,
which are materials that resist the flow of heat. You can incorporate those into the framing or the connections between containers to interrupt those thermal bridges.
I see.
The guide also talks about the importance of choosing the right type of paint for the exterior.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, some paints can actually reflect heat, which can help keep the container cooler in hot climates.
Oh, that's a good tip, especially if you're building in a sunny location.
It's amazing how all these little details can add up to make a big difference in the home's overall comfort and energy efficiency.
It really shows how important it is to think holistically about the design.
Now, one of the things that really excites me about container homes is the potential for creative expression.
Oh, yeah, you can do so much with them.
You can stack them, stagger them, connect them in all sorts of interesting ways.
That modularity is a huge advantage.
It gives you so much flexibility and allows for a lot of customization.
And this guide is full of examples of multi-computer homes that are anything but boxy.
Right, they have these open floor plans, soaring ceilings,
Yeah.
intricate layouts that you wouldn't expect from shipping containers.
It's amazing what people are doing with them.
It really shows the ingenuity of the designers and builders who are working with this unconventional material.
They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So if you're considering building a shipping container home, this guide is definitely worth checking out.
It seems like a great resource.
It not only provides practical instructions, but it also sparks the imagination and encourages you to think creatively about how to design your dream home.
It gives you the tools and inspiration you need to embark on this unique and rewarding journey.
And even if you're not planning to build a container home yourself, it's still a fascinating glimpse into a growing movement that's challenging the norms of home building.
It makes you think differently about what a home can be.
If you're ready to explore the world of shipping container homes, you can find a link to the book package we've been discussing in the episode description.
Who knows, maybe it'll inspire you to create your own unconventional and sustainable home.
Maybe a shipping container, once a symbol of global commerce, could become a symbol of personalized and sustainable living.
That's an interesting thought. It definitely makes you wonder what the future of housing holds.